Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Cyrus Manicherian. I'm the product manager for LoadRunner and Performance Center. And today we're going to talk about what's new in version 12.62, which we released just last month. I'm really excited about the content that was pushed by the team. A lot of great capabilities were added in 12.62, and it's just really setting us up for what we want to do in the future. Just a quick recap from previous releases. We released 12.60 in August of last year, and we also released 12.61 in November. And the team worked on a lot of key features. We continued our momentum with our Docker containers. We pushed our agenda with TrueWeb, our newest protocol to the LoadRunner family, and added even more enhancements on top of it in 12.61. We created an integration with InfluxDB to view data outside of the Performance Center environment. We've added enhancements to TrueClient, exposed more APIs. We've rebranded our web-based UI, which is MyPC and MyPC administration. And we've done a plethora of enhancements to our protocols family. And this is just really exciting stuff for us. And again, this is laying the groundwork for what we want to do with Performance Center in the future. In 12.62, the team continued to add more features, going from more capabilities added to TrueWeb, and it's in TrueWeb within ViewGen, integrations with CA, a very unique integration with SCMs, source code management solutions, more APIs. Our Docker movement even went beyond what I expected. So this is really exciting stuff. So why don't we just jump into some of the key features of 12.62. We're going to start with protocols, and first on the agenda is TrueWeb. As you all know, TrueWeb was introduced in August, and it is still currently in tech preview. However, the team is adding more functionality on top of it, and we're really excited where TrueWeb has gone. Specifically in 12.62, we added support for WebSocket during replay. We included 2 new extractors for web request responses, which are XPath and TextTrack extractors. We added timer functions, as well as reading and appending file operations. We did do some additional capabilities to TrueWeb within ViewGen, within Virtual User Generator. First on that list was being able to record a TrueWeb script in ViewGen, either using the TrueWeb proxy recorder, which you can grab from our ADM marketplace, or using a generated HAR file. You can actually record your business flow using Fiddler, and then take that Fiddler generated HAR file and convert it into a TrueWeb script. So this was really fun and really exciting feature that we added in regards to TrueWeb within ViewGen. We added additional debugging capabilities, and last but not least, and hopefully this is coming in clear for you, we added a new parameter UI within ViewGen, specifically for TrueWeb. This was really exciting, and I think even though that this was added for just TrueWeb now, you guys can get a sense for what we want to do with this new parameter UI and extend it to the other protocols. For TrueClient, the team outdid themselves yet again. One of the key capabilities added was script recovery. So they added a script recovery mechanism, which kind of acts a little bit like, Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, where it does its autosave. The auto recovery mechanism is actually based on an autosave time interval that you, the end user, can set what that time interval is, and that if your script got corrupted, unexpectedly shut down the laptop, when you open TrueClient back up, it's going to restore the script back to its last save state. We added support for version 68 of Chromium. In 1260, we actually introduced an interactive guide through TrueClient with the TrueClient browser. Now, Chromium also has that capability with the interactive guide. And then, as part of our TrueClient coded capability, which has been there since 1256, TrueClient coded allows you to convert your actions and steps into code, into JavaScript. And we extended that functionality even more to now be able to convert functions and function libraries to code as well. So this is a really big step for us with our agenda for TrueClient coded. And then last but not least, for the TrueClient native mobile protocol, we added support for multiple mobile center workspaces. To round out our protocol agenda for 1262, for the Java vUser protocol and Java record and replay protocol, you can now record and replay Java 11 apps, meaning that those applications have been built based off of the Java 11 JDK. And then for all Java protocols, you can now develop scripts within IntelliJ as well. We added support for a couple of key versions. First one is for the .NET 4.7 framework. And then for the Citrix family, we added support for Citrix Zen App and Zen Desktop 7.14 and 7.50. We've always had a way to do scripting within different IDEs for LoadRunner. And specifically for Visual Studio, we added support for version 2017. And then for Eclipse, we added support for version 4.9, which includes 32 and 64-bit. And then last but not least, we did some security updates. First of all, supporting TLS 1.3, and then upgrading OpenSSL to 1.1.1. Now let's get into some of the key features that we added for Performance Center. If you guys have seen some of our previous What's New videos and webinars, you guys seen kind of this theme that we've had with elasticity. In 1256, we added an orchestration module that leveraged Kubernetes to provision and deprovision Dockerized Linux load generators. And then in 1260, we took that same concept and we added Docker Swarm as an orchestrator, as well as a Dockerized Windows load generator. In 1262, we continued that momentum with elasticity, and now we've added the capability for elastic provisioning and deprovisioning of the Windows, of a controller on a Windows platform. So this was really big for what we want to do with Docker as a whole. Just a couple of items here. The image of the controller can actually be added just like you would with a typical PC host installation. So not only can you use it from an elasticity perspective, but if you want to have the image of the controller kind of static, similar to how we have PC hosts added to Performance Center, you can do the same mechanism with the image as well. And then last but not least, to grab the images of our load generators and controllers, you can just go to our Docker Hub link in the slide right there. From 1255 through 1257, we added integrations to 3 different APM solutions. We added integrations to Dynatrace, New Relic, and App Dynamics. We added another one in 1262, which was CA APM, formerly known as Wiley. And as you can imagine, being able to integrate and view data of your infrastructure or your application while running the performance test within PC adds a lot of merit, and it avoids, doing cross analysis, integrating analysis data from your APM solution and PC. And we're really excited that we rounded out the APM market as a whole. For this instance, in regards to this integration for CA APM, we only support the cloud version of CA APM. And then the actual integration of itself is very similar to how our other APM solutions are integrated within Performance Center. If you're familiar with integrating site scope, it follows that same integration path of going to the monitor profiles module and going down that path of adding CA APM. In the world of CI and CD, we have plugins for Jenkins, TeamCity, TFS, and Bamboo. For 1262, there was a key capability that we needed to update in regards to the TFS and TeamCity plugin, and that was around making repeated attempts to run the test on a time slot failure. Now, this SCM integration is a really, really neat capability. This is the ability to integrate Performance Center with Git through Jenkins. So there's a couple of pieces to this. First one is being able to actually sync your load runner and JMeter scripts from Git to your Performance Center project. And we do this through Jenkins. The second part to this is synchronizing tests from YAML files, which are also saved in a Git repository. Now, the YAML file is something new for us within PC, and you can actually create a scenario through that YAML file. And to take it one step further, you can even store those YAML files within your Git repository and also sync those to your Performance Center project. On top of that, if you did not want to save your YAML file within the Git repo, you can actually create a scenario within your Jenkins job through a YAML file as well. You can choose which controller you want to use, scripts, apply different virtual user numbers to those scripts, which LGs would run on specific groups, ramp up in duration. So there's a lot that you can do with the YAML file. However, it does not have a like-for-like feature that you would from creating a test within the PC UI. So there's a lot you can do there. You can create simple scenarios all the way up to complex scenarios, but there are some key things that are only handled within the Performance Center UI. In regards to reporting, we took the protocol granularity and we ran with it. So now you actually have the ability to track license consumption, not only on a monthly or weekly basis, but you can actually even get it to a per run basis as well. So you can actually set the range, the number of projects, and you can export the report to a CSV file. This can be really good just to see how many runs are actually truly happening on a per project basis. Do you need to get ready for maybe some spike or burst testing? It really gives you a good amount of information just to see how much testing is being done depending on the filter that you want to apply. Last but not least are just some of the other enhancements that we added. First of all is around REST APIs. I think what you'll find with almost every release of PC, is that we're going to be exposing more and more REST APIs. In the case of 1262, the two APIs that we made available was retrieving a list of Docker images available to a specific project and being able to configure provisioning settings for a test when using Dockerized LGs. I think that REST APIs, again, is going to be something that continues to be added. A lot of our customers are really enjoying the flexibility. of doing a lot with the APIs outside of PC, and it gives them a little bit more control over what they want to do. If you're thinking about it from a DevOps perspective, an agile perspective, it really does give them a lot of control. On the load generator agent, I think a lot of people are going to be really happy about this, specifically from like an ongoing effort. So if you remember, in order to change the agent to run as a service or to run as a process, you'd have to log into each individual load generator and change that. Well, to support some of the UI-based protocols, and think, True Client, SAP GUI, Citrix, you can now run those V-users in an interactive RDP session while the agent remains as a service, and this can all be controlled from PC. So there's a one-time setup within the load generator, and then you don't have to go back and change it and flip-flop it between running as a service and running as a process. We actually do have a couple of demos prepared for you guys. We're going to talk again about that load generator agent enhancement that we just spoke about. We're going to see the CA APM integration in action, and then Daniel's going to talk about the Git and YAML integration created through Jenkins. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this over to Adrian, who's going to talk about the load generator agent enhancement. Thanks, everyone.
Hello everyone, my name is Adrian David. I'm the R&D manager of LoadRunner, and today I will present you one important feature delivered in Performance Center 1262. Support of running graphical user interface V-users with Performance Center agent configured as a service. Before diving into the functional aspects of the feature, I would like to clarify the purpose of some important processes that are running on the load generator. Performance Center agent is the process responsible for starting a load test on the load generator. mAgentService.exe is the Performance Center agent that is running in service mode. mAgentProc.exe is the Performance Center agent that is running the interactive session after user login. This is a process that is being started when a user manually logs in on each load generator machine. lrbridge.exe is the process that is started by Performance Center agent when controller is connecting to the load generator. mdrv.exe is the process or processes that are started by lrbridge.exe on load test and will contain one or more V-users depending on the runtime settings of the scripts. As you might know, Performance Center had a limitation that graphical user interface protocols like SAP GUI or Citrix require that the Performance Center agent is configured to run as a process, which implied that the user needs to manually log in to each load generator used in the test before running it. I am happy to announce that in 1262 we are overcoming this limitation and thus enabling you to run GUI V-users with agent configured as a service in an interactive user session. If you will use the Enable RDP feature, what will happen behind the scenes is that the Performance Center agent service will start a self-local RDP session on the load generator and will run lrbridge.exe and ndrv.exe inside this session, enabling thus to run graphical user interface V-users in an interactive session. Of course, if you do not use the new Enable RDP feature, the former functionality of the agent are still available. To activate the feature, one will need to do two simple actions. On the Performance Center admin side, in the Host tab, you need to choose the host that you want to be part of your test and use the option Load Runner Agent Configuration in order to configure the agent to run as a service using a domain user that has the rights to remotely RDP on the load generators. Inside the load generators management page, one has to only enable RDP checkbox. As a result, during the running of the test, we can see now that the mdrv.exe, the process which runs the V-users, is running this time in an interactive session, session 1. I hope that this feature will help you to configure and run faster large graphical user interface vusers tests in Performance Center. And today I will present you a new feature delivered in Performance Center 1262, CA-APM integration. In this demo, I will show you how to set up the integration and how to retrieve CPU usage of a monitor server in CA-APM. First thing that we need to do is to define our monitor profile. Inside the monitor profile, we will add our monitor. We're going to choose CA-APM. In the server URL, we need to provide the name of our CA-APM server instance. In the agent name, we need to provide either the application name or the monitor server for which we would like to retrieve the available measurements. Port will be 443 if we have HTTPS connection. And in order to generate the token, which will be used to communicate from Performance Center to CA-APM, we need to go into the Security tab of CA and to generate a new token. Please note that this token will not be shown once we close this window for security purposes, so you will need to save it. Now we are ready to retrieve the counters. We can see here the exposed measurements of this server from CA-APM. For this demo, I'm going to retrieve the total used percent of the CPU utilization. Now we need to go to our test and add this monitor profile. Once we have added the monitor profile, we can now run the test. Now we can see that the test has started, and we also have in the graph section the corresponding graph for bringing the CPU usage of the monitor server in APM. As you can see here, the results are matching with what we have in APM. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I will be presenting a new integration for Performance Center, which allows to synchronize from Git to Performance Center and execute tests. The integration is with Jenkins. Let's review the agenda. First of all, a first introduction, and then we'll be talking about Git repository, storing the Vuegen script. Later on, I will be referring to everything as Vuegen script when I'm meaning Vuegen scripts are JMeter are also supported by Vuegen. So normally Vuegen script means Vuegen script and JMeter script. We'll be reviewing the Git repository storing YAML test, YAML test is a new concept for Performance Center, allowing to store a definition of a Performance Center test in a YAML file, and the synchronization will take care to create the Performance Center test on a Performance Center project. We'll review shortly how to configure a GitHub and GitLab webhook to trigger a job from a Git event. This is not really related, but since it's a rare area of DevOps, then we might look at it as well. So, but it will be very shortly. We will look at how to upload the plugin to Jenkins. It's just a file to be uploaded to Jenkins, or to install the plugin from Jenkins plugins marketplace. Configure Jenkins jobs, which is the most important one. To run the job, we'll make a demo of everything. We'll look at the global configuration. There isn't just one setting that has been added in case something goes wrong with the plugin. Then it allows to display the stack trace of Java for the exception. This can be helpful for the support to understand what is failing exactly, what method is failing, what class. And then we'll review the documentation. First of all, why are we doing this plugin? We have some customers who are interested to have an entire process of uploading script, creating performance center test, and running the performance center test being automized without any human interference in the middle. So we are creating a set of solutions that handle each of the problems. Well, let's say not the problems, each operation, and the set of solution provides the allows to have this purpose achieved. So we want first to upload a script to Performance Center, and we want the possibility to create Performance Center test in PC project. Okay, we have a plugin that is named Microfocus Performance Center integration with Git, allowing that via a build step named Synchronize Performance Center with Git. Launching and monitoring Performance Center test execution can also be achieved by the same plugin using a build step named Run Performance Center test using Performance Center. Later on, we will review the Jenkins plugin and from a Jenkins server, and we will be reviewing those build steps and filling some values just to make sure that those build steps are understandable. Git repository storing Vuegen script. So in order to synchronize from Git to Performance Center, the first phase is to have a Git repository. It doesn't matter if it is on GitHub or GitLab. We are supposed to work with both. The difference will be on the configuration of the Jenkins job. So first of all, we need to have a GitHub or a GitLab project storing the repository. For the demo, I have this GitLab. I will be mostly using GitLab to demonstrate. So on this GitLab, I have a script folder in which I created, I stored in it several scripts For example, this one is a geometer. When you have a folder containing a GMX file, the logic of the synchronization will be to consider this as a geometer script, and this one is a Vusion script. Generally, we recognize it with USR file. So whenever we have a USR file under a folder, this will be considered as a script of Vusion. And so I have this script folder, which is under the root of the project, in which I stored all the script. I have, for example, this JavaScript folder, in which I stored several Java protocols Vusion script. So this is a structure, and we'll get to the test in a moment. Let's continue with the presentation. So I show you the demonstration. This is some screenshot, exactly the same. This is how it looks in GitHub. So you have the root is lt jenkins pcgit, and I created a script folder, and I put all my folders, my Vusion script in it. The same on GitLab that I just showed you. Some 2 points that might be interested for you just to understand the logic. The script must be stored in a folder within the Git repository and should not be placed on the root of the Git repository. The folder should be named according to the script name. This is to avoid any confusion during a later phase, which is the configuration of YAML test. The folders that will be found as containing USR file or GMX file will be considered as a script that needs to be uploaded to Performance Center project. This is the logic. Now for the Git repository storing YAML test. It is recommended to use the same Git repository that stores the script, just to create a new folder, named test, for example, or whatever, YAML, and put your YAML files in it. Let's see, let's go back to the Git repository. Here, for example, I created a test folder, and I put some YAML files in it. If we look at the content of one of YAML files, this is a very simple performance center test. It is representing a simple performance center test in which we define the group name. It's just a name that should be unique in case you are using several several groups, sorry. You define the number of users that will be used to run this group. The script path. The script path is the reference to your script in Git. And if we look at this in our Git repository, we will find it. I made sure of that. Let's go back to the test YAML. So it was under script, JavaScript, and this one. So this one that I referenced, well, normally you can take this path. If we go back to the YAML file, so this is what you put here, this value. I'm going to edit it but not change it, just to show you. It's script, JavaScript, and Java HTML. and you put double slash between each, the last one being the script name. You define the number, the LG names, the load generators that will be run. If you specify, for example, LG1, then it will be run by an available load generator. Just any load generator available before the test is being executed. The scheduler, you can also define it. We will review the parameters later on, right after this actually. And I will not commit this change, I will just cancel. If we go back to the presentation, so here, for example, I have some YAML file, and here a definition that I put in the YAML files. Normally, each file will be associated to performance center test that will be created in the performance center project based on the parameters that you see on the content of the YAML file. So the parameters that are available is to define the controller of that will be used for the test. The number of load generator. If you specify just a number of load generator and you have several groups, then those load generator will all be shared by all the groups. For example, if you specify 5 for this, then 5 load generator will be allocated to all groups, and they will all be using them. The group is a list of groups, so it's an object that is defined in another table. The scheduler is also an object that is defined in another table. Let's look at the group first. On the group, we have the group name, which is just a name that must be unique. Normally, it should reflect the script name. And if you have the same script several times on several groups, and just add a number to the as a suffix, and that is incremented for the next one. The vusers is a number of vusers that will be used to run this group. Script ID, script path. So here we have two options. We can either specify for the group that the ID of the test, and this is assuming that you know the ID. To know the ID, you need to log into the performance center project, look for the script, find it, and then you will have the possibility to see the ID that was allocated to it. If you don't know the script ID and you want a fully automatized process, then you will probably not know the script ID. And in this case, you need to just specify the script path in the Git repository, because we will be synchronizing, the plugin will be synchronizing the script at the same location on performance center test project as it is in the Git repository. So this is one way for us to understand from the script path the real script that you are interested to be executed on the performance center test. And the LG name is a load generator that will be used to run the test. You have the possibility to provide either the name of the load generator host that should be running the script, the group, sorry. You can specify the LG prefix followed by a number, and in that case, an automatically matched load generator will be provided just before the execution of the test to run the test. It will be selected from any available ones. And you have the possibility to specify Docker followed by a number, but this is a feature preview that was introduced in 12.62 version. It's a patch for 12.62 60 release, sorry. and you can dynamically provision load generator. It can be Linux or Windows. We support now Windows. Um, from an image set on the orchestration mechanism defined in the admin site of Performance Center. It's a real new feature. It will require probably a presentation of its own. Um, it's simple actually, and it's very revolutionary, I think, on the way load generator are being allocated, because they are dynamically provisioned from uh, an image. So the parameters of the YAML test are taking this in consideration. Um, the scheduler provides the possibility to define a ramp up in order to initialize the Vusion the users gradually and not abruptly. The duration of the test can be limited um, if you provide it. It's not all parameters are required. This is why you can find some of my YAML tests that I showed you very short, and you can have some YAML tests very much more complex. We added some additional parameters that I will not be covering in this presentation because it will take too long, but you are welcome to go and look at them. They are mostly defining some runtime settings parameters um, for Java, JMeter protocols. Um, this is, for example, a simple test. When you see a number sign, it means that it is a remark. It is not considered. So for example, here I don't specify the controller, I just don't specify the LG amount. And if I don't specify the LG amount, I need to specify the LG name parameter. So here I have two groups. I have the first group named test_int. I have the second one named mtours. The first group will be run with 20 users, the same as it's the same for the second. As you can see, the script ID is commented out, and I prefer to specify the script from its location on the Git repository. And for the LG name, I want the LG1 and LG2 to be running it, and for the next LG3 and LG4. So I'm allocating 4 LGs and 2 for the first and 2 for the second. And I have a scheduler with a ramp up and duration defined here. Um, let's move on to the configuration of GitHub and GitLab. We'll be looking at this very short, very briefly, because this is not the purpose of the feature. It's just, and those information can be found in GitHub and GitLab site, providing information for their plugins in Jenkins. Okay. Oh, there is a typo. It's both. Both GitHub and GitLab offers possibility via webhook configuration, the possibility to trigger an operation when a specific event such commit. Okay. So since we want an automated process, we'll probably be interested to have this Jenkins job to be running, for example, when someone make a change on the Git repository, and GitHub and GitLab both have possibility to triggers Jenkins build when this happened. It's very common in DevOps, and many DevOps engineers know how to do that, how to make the configuration, but let's have a look at it. So if, for example, on GitHub, I have a LT Jenkins PC Git project, I can go to the settings of the project, and there I have the possibility to add a webhook. On GitLab, which is to the right side, you go to YAML, for example, is the name of the project here, which is a Git repository. You go to the integrations, and there you have the possibility to add a webhook. Okay, here I go into details about GitHub and GitLab for the configuration. I think I will skip those ones. I'll keep them. The information is there. Someone who wants to review them can review them, but it's not the purpose of this presentation. Okay, some information in order to make some uh, those configurations. Sometimes you need to go to Jenkins in the configuration, in the environment configuration, and you need to take some values from there and then put them into GitHub and vice versa. Um, let's move on. Same for GitLab. Actually, in order to have a possibility for Jenkins to um, uh, clone the source code of a Git repository, um, there are some plugins of GitHub or GitLab that needs to be installed depending on what you're going to use. So this is also important. Let's move on. This is to upload a plugin. For example, you go to, I think I opened the page because it takes quite some time to do it. Here it is, this one. No, actually it's not this one. It's this one. So if you want to install a plugin, you just go to the plugins manager, and in this page you have the possibility to choose something. It's generally an HPI file, but most of the time you will be installing here from the availables. And let's go back to the presentation. And sometimes you will need to restart Jenkins. Most of the time there is a need to restart Jenkins. Configure Jenkins job, and I think this is the most important one. And for this, there are some sections that I prefer to review from the job itself. So I created this project sync and run on Jenkins. It's a job, and I'm defining it. I created a parameter here. It's not really important. We'll see at the end. But first of all, you have the possibility to define the source code management. And here I'm using my GitLab server, in which I have a GitLab project and where I put my Git repository. And I specify the details and the credentials. If you want to be able to have a trigger, then you can just switch on this build when a change is pushed to GitLab. And you have the URL of the job. This URL, normally you take it and put it into GitLab settings. It's on the presentation. I don't want to get into here. You can generate a token, and this token will be used in GitLab in order to validate the authentication. And the section that is interesting us. Synchronize Performance Center with Git. This is a build step that needs to be added. How do you do that? You go to the add build step, and it is completely at the end. You just scroll completely down. Actually, you cannot see it, so I'm going to show it to you like this. Add build step, you scroll down. And there is this synchronized performance center with Git. So this is how you add the build step. And this nice window will be added to your job, and you will need to add some values. For example, the description, which is something that you decide. I decide to write a sync script and YAML test. Here I need to provide the details of my PC server, which is this one. So this is the host name of my PC server, as you can see. The project is Daniel Git Sync. So this is exactly the values that I'm entering in my configuration, my job configuration. So Daniel Git Sync, this is a project. I need to provide the credential. It's this one. If you have a proxy, then you can define a proxy with credential, of course. If you have a proxy, it's not the time, always the time. This one, test plan folder, is a field that requires a value. Just put subject git test, any value. It is there for a legacy. It will be removed later on. But if you don't put some value here, the job will fail. So just put some value, any value, beginning with subject slash whatever you want after that. Runtime file. You can upload script to Performance Center in two modes: runtime files or all files. And runtime files is the best one because if there are files that are not related to the script, then they will be filtered. Sometimes you have a Vuegen script created and containing reports, and uploading those reports is useless for Performance Center, or probably best to use runtime files. Sometimes the filter causes some troubles. Um, the filter operation causes some troubles to Performance Center, in which case you just switch to all files. Because in order to understand what happens with Performance Center, what's the exception, there is a need to turn to support and provide the script so we can understand why the filter is not working. In any case, you have two modes. Runtime files is the best one. Delete script, this one is to delete in Performance Center whenever you delete in Git. So if you don't want the Performance Center test to be deleted when Git is deleted, then you just select no. Here I want to delete them if I clean my Git project. Import test, this one is for the YAML test synchronization. So until now, all this is just for script, uploading script from Git to Performance Center. This one is for uploading test, YAML test to the Performance Center project. It will be scanning all the YAML files located in the Git repository, and for each one, Performance Center test will be created. Now for running the test, there is another build step which is named Run Performance Center Test using Performance Center. And at the beginning, you have the same configuration. You need to just provide a description, the PC server name. Of course, if you have a different port than 80, which is a default and doesn't need to be mentioned, for example, 81, then this one needs to be mentioned. In that case, 80 doesn't require, so we don't mention it. The name of the project, of the domain, and the name of the project, the credential. And here you have the two possibilities: to run a test using the ID of an existing test. So for this, you need to know the test, go to the Performance Center project, find the test, get the ID, and write it here. Otherwise, you can provide the YAML file. a YAML file, and this is why I made a parameter. I provided a parameter because I want this value to be changed whenever I run the build. For example, right now I have a default value um, which says that the test for it should be the YAML file is located under the test folder, and the file name is named YAML basic YAML. And the content of this file will be written, and a test will be created and then executed. So let's go back to the configuration of the build step that is running the test. So here I decide to specify a value here. Be aware that you have the possibility, you have, if you press on the help, you have all the parameters here, and you have, and some examples, and you have the possibility to go to the Micro Focus Performance Center integration with Git wiki page of Jenkins that we created there. You have all the versions that has been released lately, and here at the bottom you have for the synchronization Performance Center with Git, and for the run Performance Center test using Performance Center, the possibility to review the documentation that we created in Micro Focus Help. So I open them. It's quite nice. There is some links, accordions to the tables. Here, for example, we have the basic test. And if you want, for example, to see the parameter for the group, just open it and review it. We complicated things maybe by adding more and more parameters, but there are some basic parameters that you can work with. And if you want to make things more complex, then you are welcome. But you will need to understand each parameter, what it does. And there are samples for those. So here you have the synchronized performance center with Git and the run performance center using performance center. Run performance center test using performance center. Let's go back to the configuration. So this is for the help. Let's close this one. Some additional things that can be done is if you know the test instance IDs and you can mention it, and the test will be run from a specific test instance, is just an object from Performance Center. You will probably always want to use this option. And here as well, you can use a proxy if you want. You can decide after the execution of the test is finished to perform an additional operation, which is either to collate test, collate and analyze, and do not collate. So this is a recommended option. It will collate and analyze and publish the analysis within the artifact of the build in Jenkins. You can also trend. If you know the ID of a trend report, you can use it. Usually, since we create the test without an associated trend report, this option is not should not be used. So you should either do not trend or trend with an ID of a trend report that is created preliminarily on the project, Performance Center project. I mean, here's the time slot duration. And if you want to use view IDs, it's a license that can be used per day. And if you want to make the test fail according to SLA defined within the test, this option is not recommended because the YAML file is not supporting yet setting SLA. And you have the possibility to repeat mechanism in case the resource that you are requesting for running the test, meaning the controller and the load generator, are not available for running your test. So you can decide, for example, to repeat with a delay of 5 minutes and make 3 attempts. Let's make, let's keep the default value here. Let's make an execution of this job to finish this presentation. I will build this one and look at the log during the execution. So what happened here? So the first phase is to have a report saying no previous successful build was found, and in that case all scripts found in the Git repository will be uploaded. Now it has found some script and it is uploading them one by one. If we go to the Performance Center project that is right here, if we refresh, we'll see the script being uploaded uh, progressively. Let's go back to the log. And here it has finished to upload the script. And it is now uploading the test. This YAML Docker and this YAML file, which is in my Git repository. So first of all, the script were uploaded. Then the test. It is reading them and creating tests accordingly. Let's refresh here on the project. Let's see the test. So here they are created according to the YAML content. You can edit one of them and see. Okay, so it created this test. And right now it is continuing to the next build step. And the next build step is asking to have a YAML test to be run. So this is a YAML test. It was created. It's named YAML basic. It's located under subject test. And right now it is in initializing phase because it's not only executing it, it is also monitoring its execution. So if we look here, first of all to the test management, we should have the test and YAML basic, this one. And if we look at on the dashboard, we'll see that there is a test that is in initializing phase. I'm going to pause this video until the initialization is finished and continue from there. Okay, the initialization is finished. We can see now that it is running. And here on Performance Center, we can see as well that it is running. Continuing to monitor. Now it is collating results. Exactly what happens here. And now creating analysis data. And this is exactly what happens. And now it's finished. We can see that it is finished. The Jenkins job is, as soon as it's finished, the Jenkins job is downloading the analysis report. So it is available via a link here and can be opened to be reviewed. And the job is marked as finished. So this is a demonstration. There is some documentation that can be reviewed. I think we mentioned it during the demo. And with this, we can close this presentation. Thank you very much.